I know Joe Namath wants the best for the Jets all the time, and I'm not implying anything. But I do think that if I were Joe Namath, part of me would want to still, in my entire life, have the only championship in the history of the organization, because my legend grows every day.
No, it does. It was his birthday the other day, too, by the way.
Oh, was it? Well, happy birthday, Broadway Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah, did you do a birthday shout-out to Joe that I might have missed in the CBS Sports?
I did not, because I don't think it came on a day. I don't think it came on one of the days where I was doing that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but like you think about it, I mean, you see Joe Namath, and you're like, wow, this man won a Super Bowl as a member of the New York Jets. You were the New York Jets quarterback when they won a Super Bowl. How the hell did you do that? You know, if they had won,
I had to live within that shadow for 3 years, man. That's not easy.
No, I know, and they're still searching for another one.
Well, I think they got one. I think they got a really good young one. That's
well, I mean, another Super Bowl. So I'm talking about. Not quarterback.
But I'm talking about quarterback. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what we talk about all the time. The next guy, like whether it's the Mets, the Knicks, the Jets, because the Yankees and the Giants have had tremendous recent success with championships, and recent enough in at least the last 10 years. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, if I were a Yankee fan, though, I mean,
2009 is a long time away.
Yeah, but you know what? It may be, but I'd still want to watch all those championships again. I mean, why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many memories that have been created through that franchise and what it stands for and how it presents itself and everything else. I mean, it does, and I know people like Eddie just can't seem to ever get over that, and I get it. I get the hatred and all that stuff. Now, you and I try to be as unbiased as I possibly can in certain situations, and I try to talk openly about the guys that I like, the people that I like playing, you know, that are on teams that I may not like, but I still will talk about them reverently if they actually are playing well and doing right and doing the things that I think that they're capable of doing. And there's nothing better than watching a young athlete grow into hopefully a superstar. So if it's, Daniel Jones or Saquon Barkley, if it's if it's going to be Sam Darnold or Josh Allen, or watching Lamar Jackson, win a MVP unanimously. I mean, those are great things. Or watching what Patrick Mahomes is doing.
Yeah.
Those are – I kind of like that. I kind of like seeing the athletes live up to their promise and then even go beyond it in some cases.
Yeah, and we've got a number of great young quarterbacks in the NFL, and hopefully we'll be watching them battle it out for years to come as the new era truly is here for those guys. Even though, I mean, you still have Tom Brady, you still have Ben Roethlisberger, you still have Phillip Rivers all going to start. Two of those guys in different places this year. The old guard still hanging around a little bit.
Don't forget about Drew Brees, of course. Still hanging around.
Yep, Drew Brees as well. So those guys are still around. I wonder, who do you think will have the best year out of those guys I just mentioned? Rivers, Brady, Brees, Roethlisberger.
The thing about it is all four are on really good teams.
Yeah.
Really good teams. And I think they're going to be – I think the Bucs are going to be so much better because of the stability of Brady. There's no question about it. He will make them better. The question is, will he mold with Arians' offense and how that is all going to work out? That will be interesting. He doesn't have, some of the he does have Rob Gronkowski with him, but I think all four should have good years. Pittsburgh's going to have a top-flight defense. They'll run the ball well, and if Ben stays healthy, they'll be one of the top offenses in football. Phillip Rivers is going to a loaded Colts team. I mean, they're loaded, man. And everybody's chasing the Kansas City Chiefs. The question is, you could have all these guys. Who is stopping Patrick Mahomes?
Yeah, I mean, nobody. I mean, this was a guy who his first year might have even been more impressive because he was healthy the entire time. But, of course, they weren't ready as a team to beat the New England Patriots in the playoffs.
Why? Because Dee Ford lined up offside.
Well, yeah, their defense sucked, too. Let's get real. It wasn't even that. I mean, they got the ball run right down their throat in overtime. On top of that, their defense just wasn't good enough. And then Patrick Mahomes comes back. He's got to deal with an injury. He's out for a little bit. He's not winning the Super Bowl, and things aren't going his way, and then all of a sudden magic happens because he's that good. So he's just only going to get better,
He hasn't had like I keep telling you guys, he hasn't had one bad game as a starting quarterback in the NFL. Every single one of his performances is a winning performance. Yeah. That is like ridiculous. That is his first year he played in one game, and that was the last game of the year against Denver when he went in there for Alex Smith just to play the game. The next year he comes back, he wins the MVP, takes the team to the AFC Championship game, probably should have went to the Super Bowl. The next year he comes back, as you pointed out, got hurt against Denver, missed, I think 3 games, that game and 2 after that, then comes back and, plays the team all the way into the AFC Championship game again, basically takes apart Tennessee, and then goes to the Super Bowl, has a tough first 3 quarters against the number 1 defense in football in San Francisco. But then when the game was on the line, which is really where you would measure his greatness, especially at such a young age, he came through with flying colors. I mean, it's stunning how good he is already. And the things that he does. I asked Frank Reich, I said, when you see Patrick up close and personal, because he's seen him a couple times now out there in Kansas City, he goes, Boomer, he does things on the field that just take your breath away. And he goes, you have to do everything in your power to keep the ball away from him. That's the key to beating Kansas City.
Back to the ranking of horrible sports moments. If you had to put together a list of the top 20, let's narrow it down to make it more fun. The top 10 worst days of your life, would a loss be in there? Would a loss of yours make it into the top 10 worst days of your life?
Yeah, I'm sure it would. I'd have to think about it. I mean, I could think about a couple losses with the Jets. Obviously, the Spike game was one. Another one was the Philadelphia Eagle game where Eric Allen ran back an interception that I threw. I could think of those games. The Super Bowl, you know what? After everything we had gone through the year before with the strike and how fractured part of our team was, and the fact that we came back and went all the way back to the Super Bowl was nothing short of a miracle, actually. When you think about when I think back about it, and I think back about it with great memories because of everything that led up to it. And then unfortunately we lose one of our players, our best players, the night before because he just couldn't stay away from the cocaine and everything else, and it was an important mental thing for us to overcome, but we did for the most part. But I would say that there will be a few of those in there. Maybe a loss to Sachem High School back in 1979.
Well, the reason,
or 78, I should say, was a little bit painful.
There was a point in my life as an early teenager where I had lived such a great life. Things were going well for me. Great childhood, had fun in school, friends, played sports and music. Where the top 5 worst days of my life were losses as a fan. I was very, very lucky.
Yeah.
And as you get older and you experience more things and you have more bad days and different things happen and you prioritize differently, but there was a point where, the worst day was the NFC Championship game loss or the loss to this. It was, and then, of course, that's when you're a kid and you've got good things going on. But after
I do have a moment that will be etched with me for the rest of my life, and it's really sad in some respects because of the disappointment that was associated with it and what came out of it. And I still to this day have nightmares about it. And that was losing a softball game at Seaview over in Fire Island.
Yeah. That was not a nightmare for you.
No, yeah,
as much as it was for me.
No, we lost that game. It was a nightmare.
Yeah, but
that's a tough one to get over. And then you getting heckled still resonates in my mind.
Yeah, resonates in your mind.
That's when you officially quit the softball team.
Yeah, see, I that's not true. I was always there. I've never not been to a game.
No, I'm not saying that, but I mean,
I decided I made the choice. I made the choice not to play any longer on the team, like many other members of the staff, by the way, who have also chose not to play, like Bobby Dwyer, Jerry Recco. I just joined their ranks. I retired like them. It was more of a retirement. Like, did you look at?
You played in 6 games.
That's plenty.
And then you retired.
I mean, did you when you saw the news of Luke Kuechly retiring, did you call him a quitter? I mean, no. It's just some people, they move on.
Well, he was an all-pro pretty much every year of his career, and all he did was just run over people and lead with his head.
Right. Well, he decided no longer to play, which was the same.
I was very disappointed. I thought he had a few more years left, but only he knows his body and some of the injuries he sustained. But he was, I know, but he was
making
more
my
worried
point
about
for
concussions.
me.
He was worried about concussions. You haven't had a concussion playing softball. You pulled a hamstring and you pulled a quad muscle.
That's right.
And you said, I'm not playing anymore.
That's right. Exactly. And I stand by that decision because who wants to ruin a summer over a ground ball to third? Not me. I don't.
Oh, man.
I got a friend right now who has a herniated disc in his back because he decided to swing an axe in his backyard to make firewood after he had already hurt his back while running. And now he sent me the X-ray of this thing. It looks horrible. And he's laid out on his couch. He might need surgery.
Swinging axes. Nobody's telling you to swing an axe. I mean, dude, and by the way, tell your friend to go get a chainsaw. It's so much easier.